Recently, Oda stated that he plans on getting to chapter 1000 this year. Now, whether or not he can actually achieve that is unclear, but it's going to be a huge milestone in Oda's mind that you can kind of tell he can't wait to reach. Very few series in general ever get to 1000 chapters or 1000 episodes. In order to not only reach that 1000 chapter, but to also maintain a very high level of popularity while you do achieve the 1000 chapter or 1000 episode. Oda is one of the few authors in history that is ever going to achieve that phenomenal, that magnanimous goal. We, of course, as One Piece fans, I think a lot of us are expecting very big things for this monumental chapter. And the fact that Oda himself even stated that he wanted to reach chapter 1000 by the end of this year is a good indication that he himself has something big planned for the 1000th chapter. Now, in most of the 100th chapters of One Piece, something big tends to happen. Whether it's, let's say, chapter 100, where you have Dragon's introduction, and you have the East Blue 5 Straw Hats sail away from Locktown, staying their dreams as they put their feet on the barrel. Chapter 300, with Enel, he's still kicking and he heads towards the moon. And then the hatred that has spanned for hundreds of years, centuries of war, between the Shanjins and Skypians is now gone. And you have that last giant great bonfire and the last giant party of Skypiea. In chapter 500, you have the introduction of Silver's Rayleigh. In chapter 700, you have the Marines reacting to Doflamingo leaving the Seven Warlords. The first time the name Fujitora was ever uttered. And then Doflamingo reveals that he has the Mera Mera no Mi. And then for a last example, in chapter 800, the Straw Hat Grand Fleet was formed. So, of course, these big moments do vary in big. Some are much bigger than others. But still, nonetheless, these big moments happen in these chapters. Now, when we scale back to this current arc, there are a lot of epic and insane possibilities on what chapter 1000 will be about. But before we get to all of that, if you like my content in large, whether I'm on Twitch, whether I'm on DLive, whether it's the YouTube vids themselves, support your boy with a like, with a subscription, and of course, click on the bell for any notifications on new uploads. And of course, on top of that, following me on Twitter and on Discord, also very important as well, because YouTube, when it comes to notifications, sometimes can be a bit shaky. So I post on Discord regularly and I post on Twitter regularly, letting folks know what's what. Also, those links are in the box below. And finally, for this prologue, I do want to give a fellow content creator a big shout out. I'm giving Christian of the Red Force podcast a big ups because he's doing something that one day I want to do, which is create my own story. After reading so many manga and watching so many anime, I do want to give it a shot myself one day. So he has created his own series on Webtoons. Check this out.
Before I start this video, I just want to ask you one question, King.
I don't like where this is going.
Where are the Sucks videos? For those of you who don't know me, I'm King's artist. I do his thumbnails, you know, the big ones. I do his t-shirt designs. You know, we're working out more of them, alright? We're working out. You know how King is late all the time. Imagine working with him. You know, imagine that. But this promo isn't about K.O.L. This promo is about my webcomic, Shadow Soul. It all starts with the main character, Dante, realizes his childhood friend, Ali, has been captured by the Light's Order, and he's determined to get her back. These events make them criminals, and they have to go on a massive adventure to get rid of the Light's Order. I would say the main focus of this story is character interaction and character development. Of course, there has to be fights and a battle system. Of course. Now, I created this battle system to be very set in stone, very rule-based, to make sure everything makes sense and everything works properly. Shadow Soul is currently 80 chapters long. It comes out weekly, 16 pages, in full traditional comic book style, full color. You can read it all on Webtoons, you can find it there. I hope you do, I hope you enjoy it. Thanks to King for letting me make this promotion video.
That lovely?
So now that we've gone to all of that, and of course, once again, big ups to Christian of the Red Force Podcast for his series Shadow Soul. Link in the box below, absolutely. Let's now discuss the possibilities on what could be going down in chapter 1000. Now, like with all things, there are certain levels when it comes to possibilities, right?
Whatever you say.
It's the power scale in me. What is likely, what is less likely, and then finally, like the far-reaching, like, oh my god, crazy stuff. So, first and foremost, these are some of the likely possibilities when it comes to chapter 1000 and what that chapter could be about. Because right now, the latest chapter is 991, and the Straw Hats are making their way up to try and fight against Kaido. If we carry the situation all the way to chapter 1000, then these would be the most likely options on what could be happening in chapter 1000. So number one would be Luffy arrives at the top of Onigashima facing off against Kaido. The Red Scabbards already defeated. They're gonna try and take Kaido out themselves. But of course, Luffy's the main character, so that's his job, essentially. Now, alt versions would be, let's say, Luffy and Kid, or Luffy, Kid, and Law, or Luffy, Kid, Law plus face off against Kaido. And the plus would include characters like Yamato and Zoro and, let's say, Hawkins, Drake, so on and so forth. The plan that Law and Luffy kickstarted back in Punk Hazard would finally come to a head, would finally come to a true climax when Luffy, at the bare minimum, would be standing there eyeing Kaido, giving Kaido the stare down. And based on Punk Hazard and based on current Wano country, Kid and Law would have to play a role in this as well. It wouldn't surprise me where in the next few chapters, we run into Kid, we run into Law, and then all three of these guys make their way up to the top, and then boom, all three of them are staring down Kaido for chapter 1000. Now, another spin on this, of course, would be them actually clashing against Kaido. And if you have Luffy and Kid, at least those two, let's say, clashing against Kaido, then what we saw with Luffy and Doffy could happen with Kid and Luffy against Kaido, where we do see a clash of Conqueror's Haki. And what could also potentially happen too is, let's say it is revealed at that point in time in chapter 1000 that Law has Conqueror's Haki as well. So let's say it's all three of these guys, Law, Kid, and Luffy, clash with Kaido. And then the sky splits in half, like what happened with Shanks and Whitebeard, like what happened with Kaido and Big Mom. The same can apply here with these three young bucks stepping up against one of the strongest in the world. This would probably also, at that point in time, close the act of Act 3 of Wano Country on that crazy note. Number two for chapter 1000 would be new forces are arriving in Wano or already in Wano. Wano plus Onigashima. Now, A would be the Marines, because the Marines are clearly concerned about the events going on in Wano, but have their hands full with the warlords at this point in time. However, it has been some time since they fought with them, and they could be en route as we speak to Wano Country / Onigashima. Now for B, you have CP0, because CP0 was also in Wano at the beginning of this arc talking to Orochi. They may have actually taken Orochi's words to heart, and if that's the case, then not only would they arrive themselves, but also they would arrive with the big reveal of one Dr. Vega Punk. That would be a tremendous reveal for chapter 1000. And in case you forgot, according to Oda, Vegapunk is the guy that is going to reveal a lot of the Devil Fruit mysteries, questions that we've had for a very long time concerning Devil Fruits. There's also a chance that if he is in this arc, him and Chopper, and maybe even Law, could find a way to reverse the smile fruit effects. Exactly. The next one will be the Strat Grand Fleet arriving, or making their way to Wano, since word has clearly spread about powerful forces meeting there. Plus, like with Ace, maybe Luffy's favorite card was also, for a period of time, disappearing because of Kaido's Raime Hake and the Thunder Bagua. Now, I have my doubts on that one, I really, really do. But it's not necessarily clear how much life force or how much in danger someone has to be in order for the favorite cards to start deteriorating and like eroding away. But the Thunder Bagua knocked out Luffy from Gear 4, a pretty heavy attack, and he was covered in bandages. In fact, he was also even dragged by horseback to Onigashima. They dragged his ass there. But in Luffy and Kaido's case, it could have been happening there, and then Grand Fleet were on the move now. And then also keep in mind that before Wano Country, it was revealed by the narration at some point that the Strat Grand Fleet at some point are going to play a pivotal role in a major event that will make them infamous throughout the world. So the Grand Fleet at some point are going to play a big role. It could be during Wano, it could be after Wano. So only time can tell, but the Grand Fleet are coming in hot at some point in the story before the final war. Now, number 3 would be Orochi's return. You see, many folks, including myself, believe that Orochi is not dead. And Fugokuju, in one of these chapters, he's actually left somewhere. And my hunch is that he's going to Orochi's body, quote-unquote body. The major reveal will be Orochi being alive still, despite getting his head cut off, and then potentially Kanjuro as well also being alive. Because in his case, we have the Headless Samurai artwork, and then it just so happens that he has to die off screen like a chapter later to Kiku, which is kind of weird of itself, number 1. Number 2, the Headless Samurai that he creates, and then Orochi gets his head cut off. I feel like there's a parallel there that indicate that maybe they're not actually dead. And at the end of the day, Orochi and Kanjuro and Fugokuju were always wary and cautious of Kaido, and they took measures in case some of this happened. And it does fit Orochi's personality to be very overly cautious, very superstitious. Plus, his abilities of the Orochi having multiple heads, it does make you wonder, is it possible to, let's say, he can switch out his actual head for, let's say, a false head, and then the false head gets cut, and then his real head is still, like, let's say, within his body, something of that sort. And then on top of all of that, there are many plot points that are just kind of gone, that disappear into the ether if Orochi is killed. Plot points involving Killer, Momonosuke, Hiri, Zoro, potentially Kid as well, where these plot points are just gone now that Orochi's dead. So Orochi's return could be the big reveal for Chapter 1000. I'm not against it at all, because I would say he probably is alive. Another good possibility for Chapter 1000 would be the start of the Rocks Pirate flashback. Big Mom is here in Wano Country, but not really here. Like, even Luffy is really ignoring her and trying to fight Kaido ASAP right now. Big Mom is a threat, but it's clear that when it comes to the vast majority of forces, they are focusing predominantly on Kaido, and Big Mom is secondary, clearly. But Big Mom being here with Kaido, one would hope, would somehow initiate a Rocks Pirate flashback, considering how they are 2 former members of the Rocks Pirate crew. So the Rocks Pirate flashback is also another option for Chapter 1000. And then finally, when it comes to the most likely possibilities, Kaido seeing Momo transform into a dragon for the first time. This hasn't happened yet, where Kaido has actually seen Momonosuke transform into a dragon. Let's say, like, for example, Momo gets very concerned with the scabbards. He wants to make his way up to the top of Onigashima. And let's say he convinces Yamato and Shinobu to do that for him. He goes there, and let's say he sees the scabbards defeated. He may freak out and then turn into a dragon. And I would feel like that would actually shock Kaido in more ways than one. I would also argue that this would initiate a Kaido flashback. Just how Big Mom had a flashback in Whole Cake Island, Kaido, I'm assuming, have one in Wano Country. Now, I do have a video or 2 planned on this subject in greater detail for the future, but for now, I'll simply say that there are clearly connections between Kaido and Momonosuke, but I do believe that these connections run far deeper than most folks think. But again, those deeper details will require their own video. I do see this being a big moment, and this being a triggering moment in more ways than one for Kaido. So absolutely, Kaido seeing Momo turn to a dragon, I think could also be an option for chapter 1000. Now, granted, there are clearly a lot more options when it comes to what is likely in terms of chapter 1000 for Wano Country, but I don't want to spend an hour and a half going through all those possibilities. So on that note, let me know what you guys and gals think on what is likely to happen. Like, not like what's crazy. What do you think is actually likely to happen in terms of chapter 1000, gauging on what is currently happening in Wano Country right now? So now we get on to the less likely possibilities of what could be going down in Wano Country. These are not like the crazy things, like these are not like the insane, oh my god things. They're still within reason, but they're still not as likely as the previous options that we went to before. And this is based on a very different arc structure of Wano Country compared to previous arcs in One Piece. Wano Country is very different than other arcs because we completely cut away from Wano between acts. Some of the most, if not the most exciting moments in the Wano arc are actually outside of the Wano Country, outside of Onigashima. And there are still 9 chapters till chapter 1000. And Act 3 could end before chapter 1000. If that were to happen, and chapter 1000 approaching, and we're now in between acts, then the range of possibilities for chapter 1000 becomes far, far bigger and far, far larger. So the first thing, and I kind of partly dread this, I really do. Big News Morgans was on his way to see Wappo, and apparently he has some big info to leak to Morgans. Chapter 1000 could have some of this meeting and this big leaked intel. Come on, like, imagine that, chapter 1000, arguably the most important chapter in One Piece. A monumental, major monumental milestone. And it involves Big News Morgans? I'm not gonna hear the end of it. Like, there's gonna be, just how there was so much hype and there was a surge for Urouge when news came out that Urouge defeated Snacks. Just how we had Big News Morgan's hype. I mean, we're always at times getting Big News Morgan's hype. But if he's in chapter 1000, guarantee you, during streams, in random videos, big news. Just big news, big news, big news, big news, big. I'm like, it's gonna be so Spanish. It's gonna be so obnoxious. It's gonna be so insufferable. Just, you're doing a video about Akainu versus Aokiji. All of a sudden, some guy's like, big news, man. Big news. Like, no, screw off. I'm triggered! I don't want to hear it, and I don't want to see it. Order, please spare me. Please spare me. All right? Morgans is not that nice. He beat up one guy, and all of a sudden we have folks legitimately power scaling Morgans. Number 2, the more serious stuff. We will see what happened to Sabo and his boys, so Morley, Karasu, Lindbergh, after they fought against Fujitora and Green Bull. And this could potentially, number 1, lead to a Green Bull face reveal. So it could be Green Bull. Finally, we gotta see what he looks like in full, number 1. Number 2, at the same time, this could also lead to a revolutionary army, full scale, movement on the world government because of Sabo and the news that's been spreading about Sabo. And now Dragon feels like it's the time. This is my chief of staff, my second in command. It's time to go. Even though they're on the back foot at this point in time, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, if chapter 1000 is Dragon gathering everybody. Everyone! You gather the intel, we know what's going on, now it's time to move against the world government and the celestial dragons. We could see Dragon frontman, like legit frontman, a fairly large revolutionary army force, which would be pretty damn dope. I ain't gonna front. I ain't gonna front. Keep in mind that Sabo could have been framed for something that he didn't do. And then this also involved Kuma as well, and Bonnie and the Sorbet Kingdom and their fates in the whole land in general. So when it comes to Sabo and the boys, that could be definitely a thing that we focus on, absolutely. Now, Vivi, King Cobra. Number 3, the events of Alabasta are revealed. Garp mentioned to Shirahoshi and Neptune that there was an incident regarding the Kingdom of Alabasta, and we know that Imu is holding the image of Vivi among the 4 images of Luffy, Blackbeard, and Shirahoshi, so it's very likely that Vivi's life is in danger, and the incident Garp is mentioning probably involves that in some way, clearly. Plus, King Cobra, very important to remember, King Cobra was hell-bent on asking the Gorosei about the Poneglyphs. Oh no! That's a taboo. That's a no. Let's say the Alabasta group, Vivi, King Cobra, Hell, Jaka, and so on, let's say they stay behind a little bit longer than the other kingdoms do, and they confront the Gorosei about the Poneglyphs. If that were to happen, then of course Shirahoshi wouldn't be aware of what happened afterwards, because they stayed behind, and King Cobra was asking taboo questions to the Gorosei. And if there was an attack made on his life as a result, then there's a good chance that King Cobra didn't survive. He was already in poor health last time we saw him, and it's safe to say if there was an attack by CP0, or if the Gorosei did it themselves, he would probably get killed by them. And if Sabo attacked on the same time this happened, then they could have put the blame on Cobra's death on Sabo. There we go. And of course, this plays in quite easily to, let's say, Sabo being captured for execution, very similar to Ace, potentially speaking. Now, going from there, number 4 would be former warlords of the sea, former Shichibukai versus the Marines. That could still be going on. Amazon Lily, Weevil, and Mihawk would be the 3 focused former warlords in this case for Chapter 1000. But what this could also lead to is also the reveal of the SSG, since the SSG is replacing the Shichibukai. All of them. So whatever this force or entity is, Vegapunk has created something that, yes, can even replace the warlords. Therefore, it makes some sense to test it out against warlords. So at this point in time, Amazon Lily would be more like a full-on war, considering how it's a nation against the Marines. Whereas Mihawk and Weevil, they're just one dude. Buggy, I don't see... No. Buggy's already dipped. When it comes to SSG, it could be that against Mihawk and or Weevil and or Amazon Lily. And then also Kobe's en route too to Amazon Lily as well. But I can see Kobe being more of like Boa's friend because they both love Luffy. And mind you, when I use the word love, Boa loves Luffy. Kobe's a big fan. Let's not take it that route, all right?
Oh, come away!
Easy! Number 5. Blackbeard on the move. Where? Where is Mr. All Day, Every Day, 24/7, 365, Zehahaha going? That's juicy.
Yeah, boy.
But wherever he's going, he's trying to beat the Marines to this particular place to get a certain thing. Blackbeard versus the Navy race. If the Navy's only going to take it, I might as well claim the prize. The Navy have found something of great importance, and Blackbeard wants to be the Navy to this prize. And what that prize is, we could potentially see in Chapter 1000. Or at the bare minimum, see earnest conflict between the Marines and Blackbeard, which may involve Marine admirals, like a Kizaru or a Fujitora or a Greenbow, which would be delectable. That would be so juicy. Because Aokiji is also a part of Blackbeard's forces. How would that work out if Blackbeard and his boys rolled on up, they get involved with the Marines, and then you have former Marine Aokiji, and then you have the newest admiral, let's say Fujitora Greenbow, who replaces Aokiji? How that could actually be a very spicy scene right there. Absolutely. So that's very possible as well when it comes to the less likely options. Option number 5, Blackbeard on the move. So this concludes the less likely section of the video. Again, these are less likely, not crazy, but less likely, because at the end of the damn day, we don't know if we're going to be going in between acts around chapter 1000. We'll find out probably around chapter 998 or 997 if Act 3 ends, and we'll be in between acts by then. And for the time being, we're still in Act 3, which is why we have to give more leeway towards what's going on now, rather than potentially going in between acts by the time chapter 1000 is around the bend. So let me know your stance in the comment section down below. What do you think are less likely, but still not too crazy, not too far out there? Now we go on to the extreme stuff. This is the crazy stuff. This is where it's like, hey yo, wait a minute, what?
Nani?
Hey yo, what? What are we talking about right now? Well, let's actually talk about it. Number one, Sabo, Wano Country. A lot of folks theorize that Kuma had some final protocol embedded into his mind, because a lot of folks believe that Vegapunk and Dragon are working together secretly behind the scenes. And it does make a certain degree of sense because Kuma is former revolutionary, clearly. Sabo was actually smacked by Kuma on a journey, and right now Sabo's in Wano Country.
Really?
Which is kind of crazy. But is it possible? Yeah, it's really far out there. It's really far out there because folks also believe that Bonnie is with Sabo as well. So Kuma smacked both Bonnie and Sabo to Wano Country, final protocol that Vegapunk embedded in there to save, let's say, a high-end revolutionary. Or on the flip side, let's say Kuma's own willpower, because willpower being a key thing in One Piece is obviously there. Kuma's consciousness in seeing Bonnie, potentially Kuma's daughter, right? Royalty of the Sorbet Kingdom, overrid the pacifist of mind and the protocol and smacked Bonnie and smacked Sabo to Wano Country. And then from there, this is kind of weird. From there, Bonnie's powers would be used to accelerate Momonosuke's age to where he is now older than Hiyori, and that would lead to Momo doing something and stuff. It's weird. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of far out there. It's kind of nutty. So, is it possible? I guess. For chapter 1000, Sabo's here. Hey, I'm here, guys. What? It could happen, but I would need those details ASAP on that one. Number 2, Shanks or Blackbeard inbound to Wano Country. You see, at this point in time, it's unlikely. Very, very, very unlikely. But still kind of possible. It's Wano Country. This is an arc where so many crazy things have been happening. And a lot of folks in the past have stated before that this arc would involve not just the 2 Yonko, a Big Mom and Kaido, but it would involve all the Yonko. All the Yonko. Where Blackbeard is going, we have no idea. But it involves the Marines. And the Marines could be going to Wano. That's very possible. But whatever the it is, we're not too sure what they're trying to get or what they found. And where Shanks is, we have no idea. Like, literally no idea. He could be still in the Holy Land. He could be on his ship just chilling. He could be just gonna be here right now. I mean, folks theorize that he's actually en route to where Mihawk is, to help out Mihawk. I'm like, so there's the possibilities are endless when it comes to where Shanks is. But that's why it's like, okay, well, maybe Shanks is en route to Wano. And Blackbeard could be coming there as well. Blackbeard was clearly very intrigued as to what's happening in Wano. And then plus, Moria is either dead or with Blackbeard. And Moria has those deep ties to Kaido. Moria's crew got eviscerated by Kaido's crew in the past. They all died except for him, as far as I recall. I mean, we see in the flashback, in the olden flashback, that Moria and his boys roll on up against Kaido and his boys. So, you could argue Moria with Blackbeard, Wano Country, here we go, say ha ha ha. And of course, there's always that theory of Blackbeard needs 1 more devil fruit to match the 3. And he's gonna get Kaido's fruit, which would be a dragon. So a dragon with darkness and earthquake powers. And somehow Luffy is supposed to be that. Like, okay, no. Okay, no.
Okay, now I got it. Okay, I got it. I got it.
Is it possible? Yeah. But it's way far out there. Goddamn. Now, the next thing. Ancient Weapon Pluton reveal. Chapter 1000. Ooh. This is the one I actually want the most. I'm not gonna lie to you. This would involve, of course, Vivi and Alabasta, because the Marines World Government have found something, or are in the process of finding something, and it's of such great interest that somehow Blackbeard, he's now involved, and now he's on the move. We know, according to Garp, that there was an incident involving Alabasta. That could be in the Holy Land, or it could actually be in Alabasta. And remember that according to the poneglyph in Alabasta, Pluton was hidden somewhere in the sands. The one that Robin read. So actually, Robin knows where Pluton is, but Robin hasn't said anything because... stuff. Adventure. Alright, Nakama. There you go. Perfect. Nakama. Big Mom and Kaido are also, from a thematic standpoint, they themselves are talking about ancient weapons and how they're going to get one to completely shut down the Marines. So, if you have ancient weapons being brought up by Big Mom and Kaido, and then you have Alabasta being involved, where we know that in that country, Pluton is, and the Marines have been on the move, and Blackbeard and Yonko is so concerned with their movements, and they're trying to get quote-unquote it, whatever the it is. Well, that it could be Ancient Weapon Pluton. The reveal of the mythical, crazy, powerful, ancient weapon of mass destruction, Pluton, in the sands of Alabasta. That would be nuts. That would be so dope to see ancient weapon Pluton finally. Now granted, the timelines don't necessarily add up because like the distance from Fishman Island to the Holy Land is much shorter than, let's say, Alabasta Holy Land, because Fishman Island's underneath the Holy Land, whereas Alabasta's like a ways away. Hypothetically speaking, let's say Alabasta, King Cobra, and Vivi, they leave first, like early. And then let's say Shirahoshi and King Neptune, they leave last from the Holy Land after Reverie. So you can kind of spin it that way, but again, it's very far-reaching, kind of crazy, honestly. But I love to see Pluton regardless. Now, if Blackbeard's on the move, the next thing, if he's actually on the move and he's going somewhere of great importance, I think Shanks may want to cut off Blackbeard. Just how he cut off Kaido to go into Marineford War, Shanks and Blackbeard could wind up squaring up. That is the next thing on the crazy stuff. Shanks and Blackbeard square up. Teach. Shanks wants to talk to Gorosei about a certain pirate. And I think that pirate's Blackbeard. I honestly do. And we don't know where Shanks is right now. We have no idea. But if Shanks knows, once again, what Blackbeard is after right now, then he could cut him off. And then from there, we have the beginning of Blackbeard versus Shanks. Now, I personally am not against the idea at all of Shanks not meeting Luffy and dying to Blackbeard's hands, and so it never happens. I understand that would be hyper polarizing in the fandom, hyper polarizing, but I myself am not against it at all. I'm really not. So in my mind, it's possible. It's really like a baboon reaching for the moon. You're gonna fail, but if that baboon was, let's say, Sun Wukong, and you had a power pole, maybe. Now, the next thing. Zunisha is coming to Wano. Like I said, this is the really crazy, far-reaching stuff. Zunisha is coming to Wano. It is possible that Momo gave orders to Zunisha before they arrived at Wano country. We didn't see how they left Zou. We know that they left Zou clearly, obviously, because they're in Wano country. So it's possible, and folks believe, that Zunisha, I mean, given its size and scale, it kind of makes sense, where it's so huge, it actually fits right in on Onigashima. It fits right in, like it does. So, and plus, how Wano country structured too, given that crazy waterfall plateau, well, Zunisha could probably just waltz on in, like, what up? What it will do, I'm not too sure. I have no idea. But Zunisha coming to Wano could be a thing. Far-reaching, but it's kind of possible. And then finally, for me personally, when it comes to the crazy stuff, just get NL down. Just please. please. Just get NL down. Get him down. That's what we have to do. Just have Kaido fire blast breath at the moon and then get NL down. Get him down. It's not a big deal. Kaido doesn't have to destroy the moon. Just at least get NL's attention. The moons of One Piece have been my biggest thing when it comes to just lore and mystery mythos. And NL, he's been on the moon, Ruins on the moon, Mechanical Pirates on the moon. It's like there's too many moon things that just make my glands salivate. I must find out what's going on. Bring NL down, please. I don't care what he does. I don't care. He won't get low diff. He won't because he's NL. But bring him down. That's like at this point in time, I'm a baboon reaching for the goddamn stars. Like, screw the moon, not the stars. But still, is it possible? Like a 0.001% chance. It's not impossible. Just, it's would it be chapter 1000? I doubt it. But if it was, oh my god.
Oh my god!
It's a good year. Despite all the hiccups, it's a good year. If NL comes down from the moon, that would be amazing. Oda, please. If Oda, you do this, I will name my firstborn son Ichiro. I will name my firstborn son Ichiro if you make NL come down from the moon in chapter 1000. At the end of the day, there are many options on what could be going down in the 1000th chapter of One Piece. This tremendous milestone will solidify Oda's spot even further as one of the greatest to ever do it. And I and many folks are looking forward to what the 1000th chapter of One Piece is going to be about. Whether it's going to be the far-reaching stuff, the less likely, and the more likely. Whether it's going to be Wano focus, outside of Wano focus, moon focus, I'm pretty sure Oda's going to deliver pretty hard on that chapter with a phenomenal double page spread or double page spreads of epic proportions. We can guarantee at least that, can we? We're gonna have, I'm pretty sure, a few, at least 2 epic double page spreads of something. What that something is, only time can tell. This year, hopefully. Next year, maybe. Given Oda's break currently, it could be next year. But it's happening nonetheless. And that is something we as fans, of course, appreciate across the board. And Oda, I'm going to give you my early thank you. Thank you and congratulations for reaching chapter 1000. So on that note, guys and gals, once again, let me know your stance on all of the subjects on this video. And of course, the comment section down below. Potentially the most important chapter in One Piece history. Zamasu. You use Zamasu to click, once again, rate the video. To click, once again, subscribe. To click on that bell to join the squad. And of course, as always, feel free to, once again, please do comment in the comment section down below. Peace out, people. And have a nice, God damn.